Charlotte, what do you make of these recent developments, some of the outings from the palace, like Kate's low-key visit to Clapham Common for the Sarah Everard vigil, the Granny Diana Mother's Day cards from Charlotte and George? Is there a strategy at play here?
Yeah, I think, to quote Meghan's best friend, Michelle Obama, it's a case of when they go low, we go high. But in this case, for the Cambridges, it's sort of really low-key. That's what they do best. That's what Kate does best. It's low-key, it's subtle, it's not brash Oprah. And to do that little walkabout, and she was really barely noticed for quite a long time, despite the fact she wasn't wearing her mask, which I thought was a deliberate sort of ploy on her behalf to get noticed. It was a really low-key visit, and I just thought it was perfect Cambridge. And they just are doing what they do best, which is keeping it elegant, keeping it classy. And then as for the Mother's Day card, I felt a lot of pain coming through that from William. It seemed, yes, he was pointing out that this is my mother too, but he just seemed, it just seemed lonely. He just seems like he's probably quite lonely. He's pained. He probably wishes his mother was around. And just like Harry, he no longer has his brother, his support to lean on in this crazy crisis that's going on. I just felt, I thought it was very, very sad from William, actually. And sweet.
Do you really think, I'm not sure I buy the low-key strategy thing. They both seem like rather pointed, sort of like significant little moments in this extraordinary week.
Yeah, it wasn't by accident. It wasn't, she was just strolling around the park and there was the vigil. I mean, it was obviously very, very planned, but what I mean is it was very subtle, and I don't think Kate's hair was blow dried and things like that. She really did wear, and she sort of wore her Barber Alexa Chung anorak, and I do buy into the fact that she was making her point, but she was just trying to do it in a much more low-key way.
I mean, Richard, inevitably, I think over the next few weeks and months, William and Kate will be compared to the way they're doing things as opposed to the now so-called Hollywood royals. Do you think that Harry and Meghan's activities in LA will start to influence the way they behave and the things that they do?
Yes, I'm not sure they would admit it, but I think that for years to come, William and Kate will be defined by Harry and Meghan as well. Because there is, as I mentioned on last week's programme, there is something of a rival royal family, really, that Harry and Meghan are making an effort to establish, and they will be the sort of rivals across the water, I think. And I think we've already started to see that since Harry and Meghan left Britain, that William and Kate are showing they're the serious ones, they're the ones who will be king and queen. And they don't need to lark around. I think that William would never do something now like the James Corden, the light entertainment route that he has flirted with a bit in the past, sort of laddish events with Peter Crouch and that sort of thing. But I think now he probably would reconsider and is sort of taking a more serious role, essentially, and will be seen increasingly as very different from Harry and Meghan across the water.
Rebecca, there definitely would have been a time, I think we'd all agree, where you would have looked at Harry and William's relationship as young boys and teenagers and never, ever imagined that we'd be in the situation we are now. So it makes me look at the children that William and Kate have now. Do you think it will impact and make them worry about how they raise their three?
Oh, 100%. I mean, this has been a game changer for William. He thought he would become Prince of Wales and King, standing shoulder to shoulder with his brother. Harry was just always, something fixed in his life. He loved him. He was his brother. And he thought he would be there at his side throughout the rest of his life and his career. And obviously that's not the case now. And it has a massive knock-on effect on the Cambridges as a family, because obviously having Harry and Meghan there to help shoulder the burden kind of ring-fence George, Charlotte and Louis for a little bit longer before they had to decide, whether they were going to take on full-time royal duties when they're older, and how that will pan out. And obviously all of that, the rug has literally been pulled from under their feet. So, there'll be a lot of soul searching going on at Kensington Palace and Amber Hall, I think, with William and Kate about how they move forward and take this in their stride.
It's interesting as well, isn't it, that you look, the royal cousins always seem to be a pretty tight group. You know, Harry and Eugenie famously get on very well. But Archie and baby Sussex aren't going to have that relationship at all.
Well, they've actually hardly ever seen Archie. I mean, someone told me that they'd only actually seen him once, maybe twice, before Meghan and Harry took Archie away to first Canada and then the US. And goodness knows when Archie will come and see them. So he's only ever had a very long distance relationship with his cousins. I mean, it's actually terribly, terribly sad, I think.